What's going on, everybody? My name is David Delano, and this is Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. And we got NFL Week 2, got the Texans in action, Monday Night Football, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But over here, it is all about the Houston Rockets. And one thing not really overlooked, especially in the United States, as on Sunday, had a lot of NFL action, even the WNBA playoffs going on, Major League Baseball. But a lot of the best basketball players in the world were in action as the EuroBasket tournament concluded with the finals there, and we're going to talk about maybe some rivalries that may have sparked through this EuroBasket. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Definitely appreciate it. All your comments also are appreciated as well. Even the messages got some great ideas and some things, even for history, some out of the box topics, and want you guys to know I want to do those things the right way, but nothing has been overlooked, and there's going to be some fun stuff that I'm looking forward to at the end of September. First of all, let's go ahead and get into this EuroBasket tournament. And as we look at this, first of all, had a big semifinal matchup that Giannis over on Greece going up against Turkey. And then you also had a game between Germany and Finland. Over there, you've got Dennis Schroeder over there on the German team. Got Lauri Markkanen over on the team for Finland. And then, of course, the Turkish team led by Sengun and went against Greece. So Germany in that semifinal matchup beat Finland 98-86. But more of a Rockets level, 94-68 win that Turkey had over Greece. Another dominant performance by the Turkish team to get them to the finals, and they really jumped out 26-16 lead after the first half. And if you can go to the FIBA basketball site, and you can really look at condensed games, highlights with all the big moments of this, because this was definitely something difficult to find in the U.S. unless you had some underground apps or paid for it, unfortunately. But in that game on the side, Giannis on the side for Greece went head to head with Sengun. He went 6 for 13 from the field, had 12 points in that game, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and keep those 5 assists in mind. On the side for Greece, Sengun didn't have his most dominant performance stat-wise, but his team, it was an all-out team effort. He carried Turkey a lot of this way, but it was definitely a team effort. In this particular game, 32 and a half minutes for Sengun. He went 5 for 15 from the floor, misses only 3, 5 for 8 from the free throw line. He finished with 15 points in this game, along with 12 rebounds and 6 assists. But it was all around a huge effort from the Turkish team overall, including Cedi Osman, who had 17 points, Shane Larkin, who had 14 points. And you had Mirkan Osmani in this game, who had a huge game overall. 28 points, 11 for 15 from the field, 6 for 8 from 3. And this is a guy 7 foot tall, 27 years old, never played in the NBA. Alperen Sengun told him before the game that if he held Giannis under 20 points, he'd buy him a Rolex. So I guess he's got that. Osmani has that Rolex coming. But a guy, it'll be interesting to see if he ever pops up in the NBA. But for some of these guys, money they're making overseas, getting to play, being stars, depending on how he'd be used, you wonder. But after this performance, just overall, Osmani, there's got to be eyes alert on this guy for possibly joining an NBA team. Now, we could talk about what actually happened on the court all day long, but one thing with basketball and is the drama, the soap opera aspect of it, the rumors, the beef, the rivalries, the potential, smoke. And we're gonna get back to the finals of what actually happened on the court. But before you get into that finals and that semifinal matchup, obviously Sengun got the best of Turkey. And the comments that have been making waves, some of you guys may have seen, some of you haven't, but following the game, Sengun did an interview, and there's articles saying he names, Giannis's weakness. So the quote was from Sengun regarding Giannis. He said he's not a great passer. He's an amazing player, but he's not a great passer. So we tried to help and jump to close the paint. So obviously this is making waves with Sengun saying Giannis isn't a great passer. But yeah, so then after that, you had the head coach of the Greece team said Sengun is a very, very small kid to talk about. Giannis, he said, second, you have to know that because we hear a lot of, let's say, different ideas from people that they don't have any idea about basketball. That Turkish team, they lock Giannis. This is BS. So, and he got... you guys can take what you say. Now, is this going to cause, obviously, if it causes a rivalry, right? We'll see when we play the Bucks in the regular season. But it's always hard to, unless get to the NBA Finals, all these teams in the Eastern Conference, they only come into town, play them twice a year, only come into town once a year. So it's really hard to look at any of these, teams in the East as a rival. We saw, years ago, Giannis and his beef with James Harden over comments that James Harden had made about, anybody can just dunk, and that being easy. But hey, I like it a little bit. I think Sengun is going to be tremendous to see what he does this year. Man, I know it's when you look at the MVPs and the stats that the Joker puts up. Yeah, it's hard to say to put someone above that category or to think someone can exceed that category. You don't want to. I mean, you want to reach for the stars, but it's hard to really envision that. But from what we see from Sengun, I mean, I think that this guy is on his way to becoming the best center in the NBA. Obviously, staying healthy. But Giannis did make some comments back, of course, to what Sengun said. He said, "I'm a guy who doesn't like to talk a lot. I let my game talk. I'm going into my 13th season in the NBA. I've won everything. Everything. You can go see my clips on YouTube and then come back and ask me if I'm a good passer." There you go. That's it. So I think it's fun. All good basketball beef, and it's going to be exciting to see when the Bucks play the Rockets. So I wanted to really look for Sunday, November 9th at Milwaukee. The Rockets play the Bucks at Milwaukee, and safe to say both should be in uniform at that point in time. But as far as if you want to see Giannis come here, not till April 1st when the Bucks play the Rockets, and a lot could be decided in the standings. Who knows if Giannis will still even be with Milwaukee at that point. More than likely he will, unless things fall off the rail. Maybe he'll be with the Rockets by that point, and you'll be able to see him in Houston before that. But April 1st is when Milwaukee makes its only trip to Houston. But November 9th is when the Rockets play the Bucks in Milwaukee. Now, I'm going back here to just this EuroBasket tournament. So Turkey went on to play in the finals, and did look at that game. It was going on right in the middle of all the NFL action and even WNBA playoff action on Sunday. But Turkey took on Germany of Dennis Schroeder, who's now with the Sacramento Kings. And based off of his history, you got to think that at some point he's probably not going to end that season with the Kings. If the Kings have the type of season that we're expecting, he's always shows out nicely in these international tournaments. So Turkey, furthest that they've made it since 2001, went all the way to the gold medal game of the EuroBasket and lost on Sunday, 88-83. It was a tight game down the stretch. You had Schroeder led the way with 19 points. Well, he had 19 points for the... I'm sorry, his efficiency rating was 19. He had an efficiency rating of 19, 16 points for Schroeder in the game, but led the way with 12 assists to go along with his 16 points. And he had Franz Wagner as well for the German team. With he finished with 18 points and efficiency rating of 20, according to the EuroBasket, and he also had 8 rebounds. So They got the win there, and also leading the scorers on the German team. You had Isaac Bonga, who 20 points in the game, 4 for 4 from three, efficiency rating of 27. Had a huge drive to the basket on a dunk to tie the game with just over 2 minutes left to play. This is a guy 25 years old who was a second round draft pick by the 76ers back in 2018. Isaac Bonga was, but he last not in the NBA right now. He did spend some time with the Wizards from 2019 to 2021, and with the Toronto Raptors from 2021 to 2022. But this tournament's really showing how much talent is out there. Just 3.1 points per game in the NBA for his career, but never really had a lot of minutes. Bonga's most minutes he's really seen. At 2019-2020 season with the Wizards, he actually played in 66 games, started in 49, 5 points per game, shot over 35% from three and over 50% from the field. But been a while, but I mean, this guy's still only 25 years old. Interesting, a lot of different pieces as we talk about even the back end of the roster. I really would love to talk to an NBA scout or someone in the front office just about some of the player evaluations and things, because just from a basketball standpoint, I know, thank you so much Sengun and Giannis, I mean, giving us a little bit of that drama, right? And things to talk about. But from a basketball standpoint, this has really been high quality, a little more. I wish the NBA games, to be honest, I'm here Rockets daily. Shouldn't say this, but sometimes these NBA games can be hard to watch. There's a lot of teams. There's very few teams that I enjoy really watching play, to be honest with you. I mean, Rockets are one of them. The Rockets style of play. Oklahoma City, like watching Denver play. I like watching Orlando play. I like watching Cleveland play. Like watching the Detroit Pistons play. But overall, it's tough. I mean, Warriors are always a fun watch too. But it's really tough sometimes. Just all the I hate watching the Boston Celtics play. No, they win, but all of the way that the Boston Celtics just chucking up the threes, and even like Anthony Edwards, as great as he is, right? No knock on Anthony Edwards, but when I watch Anthony Edwards play, it makes me. I know Jordan used to say he didn't want to shoot a lot of threes because he didn't want to get too good at it or really rely on that 3-point shot and not attack the basket. When I see Anthony Edwards play, that quote from Jordan really makes more sense, because as great of a player as Anthony Edwards is, there's a lot of times that he just relies on those threes. As do, I mean, the way the NBA is now, a lot of guys do. That's one thing I like with Sengun, who we've even seen in the tournament. He's going to take the threes that are there, but he doesn't want to be one of those guys that forces those or just starts standing out there by the 3-point line. Still a traditional, more of a traditional big man with with phenomenal skills. So, point being, I like the way that this EuroBasket played. It seemed like everything was a lot more natural. The threes in the flow of the game, not just forced up. So I like the international style of play that we saw here. But another thing, and I wanted to, as we move forward, and appreciate it with the the comments. Talked about Malcolm Brogdon right before the weekend, and he just got picked up by the New York Knicks for the minimum, it looks like. So it's another point guard off the table. And we've talked about, go back on Friday, Thursday, we talked about a lot of different point guard options out there. Obviously Malik Beasley, I don't see that happening, with whether cleared or not, the gambling situation. But there's a lot of point guards that we've thrown out there. And Brogdon, guy being a veteran who throughout his career shot the three at a high clip, despite not doing it last season. But the way that the Rockets are going about this, and I know I'm saying faith in Van Fleet, this could also said faith in Reed Shepherd, because right now what we're seeing, I mean, I think that for me, and I'll continue to say it, a lot of you guys got the Rockets winning more than 56 games. I've even seen people saying over 60 games. And I really think that just depends how close the Rockets are to the to the number one seed, I should say. If they're pushing Oklahoma City for the one seed, then yes, but I don't think that you're going to see a situation where the Rockets are like 7 games behind Oklahoma City and also 8 games behind the third seed. If that's the case, I think that we'll see some games down the stretch that, not throwaway games, but games that more guys are playing in, and the focus on winning isn't enough to win 60 games. But we'll see. But if that's going to happen, I've just personally, there's a lot of veteran point guards, a lot of sharpshooters out there. And, that this is the biggest question for me. Sengun, man, looking like an all-NBA player right now. And this leading Turkey to the second place in the EuroBasket. But wondering here with our boy Fred, and then Reed Shepherd even behind him, as far as what the point guard depth on this team. When you start to talk about going, at the highest level. So, Fred played 73 games first year with the Rockets, played 60 games last season, 14.1 points per game last year. And overall, 38.7% from three this first year with Houston, and then 34.5% last year. So we'll see what happens. Fred to play at least 60 games or more, and obviously he showed up in the playoffs. But wondering if the regular season, everybody's getting older, definitely including myself. But just wondering with Fred, I would like just a little more depth behind him. A guy that can share those responsibilities with a little bit more, but maybe, Reed Shepherd's going to be that guy to take that step. And Aaron Holiday, and then, Amin Thompson handling point guard responsibilities. We will see. But I would, when I see guys like Malcolm Brogdon go for the league minimum, I'm like, wow, we must really have a lot of faith in what we have. But, yeah, Brogdon is a guy that I think would have been nice to take a flyer on, but don't want to develop I think that this is showing a lot of faith in Fred, and also faith in Reed Shepherd behind him, that you don't want to stun his growth, and you're going to give Reed every opportunity to prove himself. So, all right, a little bit of a lengthy show today. A lot of stuff going on, man. I know it's Monday Night Football, man. Rockets definitely, though, still taking the center stage here, even though the Texans are playing tonight. For what it's worth, if you care, drop your final score predictions for the Texans and Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Predictions before the game only, not after. All right, so let's get into this 2007-2008 season, where the Rockets, fifth seed in the Western Conference, with a 55-22 record, showing just how dominant the Western Conference was. So Jeff Van Gundy had took the Rockets to 3 playoff appearances in 4 years, but did not win any playoff series. So Jeff Van Gundy was let go, and Rick Adelman came in and coached the Rockets this season. And during the regular season here, I mentioned 55-27 record. Western Conference was stacked. This was a season with Boston's Big Three. Ended with the Boston Celtics defeating the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals for that season. But over in the West, very, very, very tight. Rockets were only 3 games away from being the top seed in the whole Western Conference. Lakers won 57 games. New Orleans Hornets won 56. Spurs won 56. Jazz won 54. But due to the division that they were in, winning their division, were the 4th seed, and the Rockets were the 5th seed. So I had to play the Utah Jazz again. Despite the Rockets having a better record, had to play the Utah Jazz in the first round of the playoffs without the home court advantage once again. And down the stretch here, Rockets did lose 2 out of the last 3 games. But in this playoffs, went into a 6-game series against the Utah Jazz. Rockets lost the first 2 games in Utah. See why they've changed some things around. Rockets fifth seed, but had the home court. Lost the first two games. Actually, in Houston, apologize for that. Lost the first two games in Houston. Went down 0-2. Won game 3 in Utah. Lost game 4 in Utah. Came back to Houston and won game 5. And then went to Utah and lost game 6. 91 to 113 to 91. The Rockets lost that game 6 despite 40 points and 10 rebounds for Tracy McGrady. And in that playoff series for the Rockets, you had McGrady, who played and started in all 6 games, led the team with 27 points per game and 6.8 assists for that playoff series. You had Rafer Alston at 14.3 points per game. Luis Scola started in all 6 games and had 14 points per game as well. Had injuries to Yao Ming. Yao Ming did not play in that playoff series. Yao Ming played in. Yao started in 55 games that he played in that season. Had 22 points per game, more than 2 blocks per game in the regular season, and 10.8 rebounds. But unfortunately, was unable to go in the playoffs. Tracy McGrady 21.6 points per game in 66 games played. So Yao Ming actually led the team in scoring that year. Alston 13.1 points per game, and Luis Scola played in all 82 games, had 10.3 points per game and 6.4 rebounds. And Luis Scola really one of those favorite Rockets players from a lot of people. As far as favorite Rockets players that not quite known as a superstar, although I guess internationally a superstar, but definitely one of those guys where I think we'll look back 10, 20, even 30 years when talk to kids, grandkids about the NBA, where it's like you kind of really had to be there to appreciate Luis Scola. But another disappointing first round loss, and we talked about in Tracy McGrady's career some of the outstanding individual career, and I know it's a team game, but another first round loss for the Rockets, and T-Mac is the captain of the ship, but did not have Yao Ming in that playoff series. All right, been going for a while today. Thanks so much for watching. If any recommendations that you'd like to see us talk about on the show, appreciate it. Anywhere you want to chime in, feel free. Go ahead and subscribe, though, and be with us for another episode tomorrow. My name is David Delano. This has been Rockets Daily. Have a great day.